There's a character in the narrative of the birth of Jesus story from the Gospel of Matthew that has stuck out to me a little bit more this year than in years past. At the very beginning of the New Testament, the entire next section of the Bible opens with a genealogy, and then it goes to the birth of Jesus. In my Bible, the publisher put a heading over this next section, and the heading reads this: Joseph accepts that Jesus is being born. It's this really unremarkable heading. Joseph accepts that Jesus is being born. And I had usually skipped over it because the focal point of the story in years past has been Jesus. This, of course, he's the reason for the season. Or it has been Mary, who is this benevolent figure in the story. But this year, I read the story a little bit differently. You see, Jesus, who's coming? Joseph is engaged to Mary, and I'm sure that Joseph had all of these plans about what his engagement looks like, what his marriage looks like. He probably looked to his father and mother growing up and learned what life is supposed to look like as you become a man, get older, get engaged, get married, start a family. He probably looked to his community for this type of input as well. And so he's engaged to Mary, and I'm certain, no, I'm not certain, but I imagine that he has plans in mind. And then one day, the record kind of skips, and Mary is pregnant. And an angel has visited her and said, "You are pregnant by this immaculate conception of the Holy Spirit, and you are to have this baby and name him Jesus." And Joseph, when he gets news of this, however he gets news of this, thinks, oh no. His plans have changed. And so he makes a secondary set of plans. Okay, this didn't go the way I wanted to. This could bring shame to me and to Mary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave her quietly. And I'm going to divorce her quietly so it doesn't bring shame to her. And then an angel visits Joseph and says, you are to have, this is what's happening. You're to have this baby. This child will be called Emmanuel, which means God with us. And it was in reading this that I focused on Joseph, because he was a man who had a plan, and then his plans changed. And so he made a secondary plan, and those plans changed as well. And ultimately, he had to go towards his fiance and go towards the birth of this child. As a community, as a global community, we have a good sense of plans changing this year. I couldn't have imagined on Christmas Eve last year, as I was thinking about the year ahead, I could not have imagined, even more so than in years past, we kind of don't know the future, but I could not have imagined what this year would hold. The pain and the sorrow and the amount of changing plans as a nation and as a global community that this year would hold. And Joseph, in this story, has showcased how in a time of plans changing, and the uncertainty, and in what could be painful, what he doesn't know his community's response, you know what? I'm gonna walk in love of my future wife. I'm gonna walk in love for this child, this son who is to be born and who is to be called Emmanuel, which means God with us. If you walk around with a hammer, it's a phrase, if you walk around with a hammer, everything can look like a nail. And if you walk around in sandals, the whole world can feel like leather. And this week, this fourth week of Advent, I am challenged to walk around with love. What would my world look like if I walked around in and out of circumstances, through tough situations and situations that just naturally bring joy? What would happen if I walked through these with love? Go walk in love this week as we walk into a different Christmas Eve and a different Christmas. Be well. Love to you and your families.